If there's one thing I love, it's drama. And if there's another thing I love, it's drama that involves a lot of money. But we'll talk more about Polymarket in a second. Welcome to Cryptocurrents, the weekly podcast about everything you need to know in crypto and blockchain with none of the FOMO, none of the shilling. We just want you to get smarter each and every week. Think of us like Amazon Prime Day, but we're coming at you once a week, and we never charge shipping. Full of goodness. And let's get you read in. I'm your host Vince, and today I'm joined by our resident degen Kale from the Encrypt team.
Yo.
And Katya from Mew.
Hello.
So we'll talk about this Polymarket stuff in a little bit, but let's start off with a follow-up from something we talked about last week, which was the Coinbase Monad token sale. So as we're recording this on the 11th of November, Coinbase is 3 days into the sale of the Monad coin, which is their first coin on their new ICO platform. And from what we've kind of been seeing in the headlines is it's went really well for the first 45 minutes, where they posted something like $42 million in interest. And then it just kind of like ground to a halt, as far as last I read. And so a lot of the crypto trade rags are like, this is an abject failure. But, and it's getting a lot of comparison to Mega ETH. Is that what it's being drawn compared to? Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to me about this. What are your guys' thoughts? I mean, the token sale hasn't gone live yet. That's next week. But what are your guys' thoughts?
So the token sale isn't live for like users like you and I.
So what it is, because I put $100 in it just to try the experience, and it's like you put in your request of 100 USDC, and then it's like, cool, this will be the allocation will occur next week.
Actually, yeah, I remember talking about this last week too, like picking and choosing the guppies and stuff.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Yeah, I mean, I haven't put any money in it yet, and I kind of touched on this last week. It's kind of a nothing burger for me, specifically because it's Monad. Like, I was excited for Monad 2 years ago. Like I feel like they've been hyping Monad for so long, and at this point, it feels more of just like a hype project than an actual like L2 that's going to do things.
Well,
so I don't know. I swerved.
I guess if we drill a little bit deeper rather than just that, like from your perspective, is this, snap interest in the first, hour of $42 million, and then petering off, is that a failure? Or is this just kind of like a new feature that people are learning about?
I wouldn't call it a failure, because it is the first time that Coinbase is doing this. It's like a little unprecedented. 42 million is kind of impressive. Maybe not for Coinbase because they might have like higher standards or whatever. They like want to make $1 billion on the first try. 42 million. I don't know. Seems like a nice splash.
Yeah. Katya, what are your thoughts?
So I think some of the analysis of the sale was talking about some of the reasons why it may have gone the way it went. And they did cite a couple of things that we talked about last week. Those changes to the model that Coinbase is introducing. One of them is, selling smaller lots first, and disincentivizing people from selling quickly, because like for 30 days you shouldn't sell, like if you want to get more allocations in the future, and other things. So some of those reasons were cited by people who are analyzing this, and it brings us back to what you, Vince, were saying. You're like, no way, this is like, they're going to find that this is like not a viable thing to do. And maybe that's what's happening, that kind of like things like Mega ETH and other sales that sell out within minutes, for hundreds of millions or whatever it was, is a feature of the Wild West of crypto, because it's like the IPOs, but IPOs on steroids, because since the IPOs were happening in 2017, many more people know about crypto. Many more people are like willing to put money into it, are knowledgeable about how to do it, compared to that. So it's kind of like accelerated. But once you start putting like reasonable conditions around it, or trying to make it a little less Wild West, it turns out being less Wild West. There's some, like, there was interest, some money was made, but it wasn't like so hyped that it's like, and people, like this might not be interesting to speculators, because if they have to wait 30 days to sell, like that's not what they're interested in, which I think in turn is an interesting point of information about the market, that that most of these people are buying these IPOs to sell, and when that condition is put around it, you're weeding out the roaches, who are just like, so I think that has a lot to do with it. Now the question is, what's going to happen? Whether Coinbase is going to be like, okay, we don't care about not being evil. We actually care about money. And they're going to change how they structure these things.
Mhm.
Or are companies like Monad in this case going to be like, this is bullshit. I won the Mega ETH sale. Like, I'm never doing this again,
Yeah.
and they're going to be less interested in a Coinbase sale if it remains under the same conditions than a direct on-chain sale. So I think there are a lot of conclusions to draw from this, and I'm interested to see what they will be, both for companies who want to sell, and for Coinbase, and for buyers.
Ironically, I feel like Monad could have done it on their own, like without Coinbase. Like Monad
Mm.
has been so hyped for the last couple of years that they could have been one of the companies to do their own IPO on the side. But I do think that like Coinbase is onto something here. Like because for companies that aren't as hyped, for lack of words, as Monad is, like companies like that will need Coinbase's platform
Mhm.
to do a successful IPO. So I see it like playing out that way in the future.
What I'm really interested about is I want to see what percentage of Coinbase's user base actually engaged with this feature. Because I do think that this is kind of showing a different segment of the crypto user base, right? The Mega ETH backdoor sales, where you have to like do everything on chain and go through, custodial solutions, is very intimidating, right? And so you're going to get a lot of the crypto OGs that are often doing that. With this Monad, I feel like you're getting a bunch of kind of the casual investors that obviously just have crypto on an exchange. And I'm wondering if those users on Coinbase have an appetite for other cryptos that are not just the Ethereums and the Bitcoins of the world. And that's why we're not seeing a whole bunch of a quote unquote adoption.
Yeah, and this is the first run of this. I think given that Coinbase is a huge machine and they're able to throw any amount of money at marketing anything to their existing user, I think it's not unreasonable to expect that it'll pick up. Like the pace of this will pick up with more sales. So I think it's not crazy to think that it will become a thing. It's just interesting to see whether somebody will blink at this point and just be like, no, this was no good. We like,
Yeah,
I agree
I
with Kale.
I
Like,
hope I
it's
hope that they
fine.
don't rip it out. I think for me, like, 43 million, I guess, fact checked myself there. 43 million in the first 45 minutes, like, is a lot of funds to move around.
Yeah, definitely.
But I
And
hope
how
that
did we, like, for a second, how did we get here where 43 million, like a million per
fish
minute, is
wash,
like,
yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
And
like,
and I that's a great point. I think it also indicates the problem that we see with crypto reporting and crypto trade rags, which are just like, what's the like bleed it leads headline that gets clicks and gets shillsters rather than actually trying to like educate people like us. That's right. So, speaking of God's work, let's talk about AAVE, shall we? Katya, I know you've known the AAVE team for a long, long time now.
yes.
But so their waitlist is currently open with the jaw-dropping 9% APY on stablecoins. That also includes consumer protections and a bunch of kind of like other perks. And I know, Kale, you your note here on the article is like, this is how we beat this is
This
how
is
we
how we
eat
eat. Yeah, yeah.
traditional finance. So like, kick us off, man. Talk about this.
I mean, I love to see it. Just like kind of connects to my tirade last week talking about like Bitcoin and where Bitcoin has ended up in 2025. Like Aave specifically, I'm like, I just love to see it, for lack of better words, because this is what we need. Like, we need crypto apps that are easy, that like hide all the crypto things behind it. Like, I can give it to somebody and they're not going to be like, oh, this is crypto, the Donald Trump thing. Like just hide all the crypto stuff. And on top of that, there's $1 million consumer protection, or I don't know like the right way to say that, but
Yeah.
yeah, $1 million. So like, in banks, you only get protected for 250K. Always protecting $1 million, and the 9% APY, like you said, is just like insane. Banks or credit unions are offering what, like 1%, even if
3.5 right now on Robinhood Banking, if you want to go
Well,
with,
yeah.
kind
So
of the fintechs of the world.
so yeah, I mean, the higher the number, the better, obviously.
Number go up, bigger number better.
Yeah. So this is really exciting for me to see. Unfortunately, I only have a $20 portfolio, so the 9% APY isn't gonna really, really help me. But yeah, it's cool to see. It's definitely something that I can see myself using in the future
Okay, interesting.
once I have more than $20.
Right. Katya, what are your thoughts?
So I think this is really cool. We've mentioned AAVE before, and I maintain the same thing that I said before, that when it's something like this, that like a team that's been around in the space for literally 10 years, over 10 years, and well, not 10 years, almost 10 years. Yeah, right. Ethereum is 10 years old. And knocking on wood, hasn't fucked up like tremendously or very publicly ever.
Yeah.
Is a big deal. But what I see here is when crypto started, like, crypto has always been positioned as an alternative financial system, and better. Here's why it's better. But it has never been kind of like an apples to apples sort of thing, because you had to explain why it's better. Like, it's much more complicated. There are like all these nuances that you have to be aware of, but it lets but there's no like, the market doesn't close, but you can send without fees, but you can so like, you add on those comparisons, but in general you had to really make an argument to compare it to traditional finance and be like, but this is what you win with crypto. Here, it's like absolutely directly apples to apples, but this apple is much bigger and sweeter, right, than the other one, because it's direct. You just deposit, you can take it out at any time, you see it growing in real time, and it's like 0.3% versus 9%.
Yeah.
It's in it's in dollar equivalent. Here, you really have to say, like, what is the question? Like, there's no question. And it's also this bringing back to the low risk DeFi topic that I brought up once, like, that Vitalik has this paper on it. I agree with him, not for the first time, but like, that low risk DeFi is like the way. Because when I can look at something and it just makes sense, right? Like, it's not hard to understand. If I'm taking on risk, I'm only taking on risk with one party, and that risk now is covered the same way, like, as bank accounts. I actually, before the recording, I was Googling FDIC and whether the consumer protection for 250,000 has ever been like tested and what happened. And so, allegedly, according to the internet and ChatGPT, it has worked 100%. It protects like specific things like checking and savings, like, there's like, but the things that were protected by it, not a penny was lost by any consumer in the United States since it was established in 1933 or something like that. So again, allegedly, it works 100%. So that's encouraging to hear. So this is just very easy to understand. It's a direct comparison. It's the same thing as a savings account, except better in every way, and you don't have to understand almost anything else about it. Yes, AAVE's protections from that $1 million are not as tested as FDIC, but
it's not the government.
There.
It's not the government.
Right. It's not the government, right?
It's just that being
there.
like, we promise.
But it's a start, because this is like, you haven't had anything like that. But again, this like, I work is, as you guys know, mostly on the kind of user-facing end where you try to translate the complicated stuff to a user who doesn't want it to be complicated. And this is like such an easy argument to make, where you're like, you basically do the same thing, and the protection is better, and APY is better, and the conditions of how you can take it in or out without waiting for anybody's approval or whatever are better. Every part of it is better.
Wins all around.
What I'm intrigued by is like, okay, let's say AAVE is the kind of forerunner in getting mainstream adoption. Getting people to wrap their heads around that name, it's a rough name. It's a rough name. Like
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I think it's really interesting. I think an interesting comparison is the bank BMO, BMO, which if you ever see any of their commercials, the message is BMO is a bank. And like they say that over and over and over because no one knows how to say BMO. And I think
you have trouble with AAVE? Like you have when you look
reading
at
it, like I would be AAVE.
Yeah, I can definitely see the confusion.
AAVE? Yeah,
You know, like people get tripped up on the double A's.
Yeah, AAVE.
Yeah, I guess I may have even heard it before I ever read anything about it, like from the team and, like AAVE or at conferences, even before I saw the logo, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's so easy for me, yeah.
But yeah, I think that branding and name is going to be a challenge for them. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them kind of like get away from the ghost and maybe even change their name.
Not the ghost.
I know.
I love the ghost.
That would
I have
actually
some
be heartbreaking.
very, very cool totes. Their thing was always really nice totes at conferences, and I have a couple of those with the ghost.
Yeah, they had sick gear in Denver 2023. I wasn't able to snag some.
But I mean, I can't think of other like apps that have something that's like quote unquote spooky as their mascot type thing.
Spooky plus like hard to say, arguably hard to say and remember name branding. You know, I was like trying to think of a good example of like, no, Aave can make it because look at these guys. But like, no, I can't think of anybody who has a name.
But I think it's interesting from a marketing and branding perspective to like watch this and like kind of maybe play armchair quarterback about what they're doing. Because I think that's interesting and good for the broader ecosystem as well. Something else that might be good for the broader ecosystem is CashApp is rolling out their new stablecoin feature powered by Solana. Harumph. Talk to me about this, Katya. What are your thoughts? First of all, do you even use CashApp? I've never used CashApp.
Never. I've never used it. I mean, my understanding that a lot of people do. I've never even had it on my phone or anything. Is it more prevalent in certain parts of the world, or is it like in...
100%.
I can only assume, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Like there's Venmos and PayPals, but that's about it. Like I haven't used any. I've never sent like money on WhatsApp or whatever. I think you can. I don't know. But that's not the point because this is not about me. I think it's funny because according to the official statement, they were like, well, first they said, we don't know which coins and chains we're going to use. Like we're going to go with the community, but we're also not going to support 100 chains and coins and whatever. And so the USDC on Solana leaked out and people are running with it. But I imagine like it's not going to be the only one. They're going to do some things. But this is one of those things, like we were talking about Square the other day, where it will convert things on the back end automatically. So like it does create a wallet for you, but if you send to a blockchain wallet, it converts to stables automatically. And if it's sent to like a like an account, like it converts between fiat dollars and stable coins automatically, which I think is interesting. Like we talked, we were all around when everybody was talking about like, and eventually it'll happen on the back end and you won't even know that you're using the blockchain. And it's kind of coming to that because now so many of us, including you, everybody in the space, there were a couple of years there where everybody was working so hard on onboarding, in terms of like converting, buying crypto with fiat and the options and the conditions and the different companies that support it. And now it seems like just like that, everything is like getting supported on the back end, and this like fiat to crypto conversion is like just happens, which is interesting to see. And the benefit of the blockchain is mostly, I guess, for the company now, because like they want to have the blockchain rails, and this is why they're doing, and it's not like the user doesn't even have to know, or so I don't know. It just seems to be happening everywhere. So it's kind of like it's hard to get excited about the news anymore, because we're like, well, yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So, but it's a sign of the times, and it's interesting to see coming from a place where it was a struggle, how to get that money into crypto and out of crypto, and now
It's
doesn't seem
definitely
to be.
happened like so quickly, because not even, it feels like just last year it was a struggle.
Yeah.
It's like you can't just go to a ramen spot and be like, hey, let me pay in my USDC on Solana. But
I'm
like,
sorry, what was that word you just said? A robin spot?
ramen.
Oh, a ramen spot.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of my boy
What
Hugh.
is a
Shout out to
robin
Hugh.
spot?
Yeah, Vince.
I was confused. I was like, ooh, is this like a bodega but in Hawaii? Like they call it something else?
Vince on sale.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I generally agree with Katya. I mean, it's hard to disagree. Like it's good news.
Because she yells at you if you disagree.
No,
yeah.
I like to hear that. It's just hard to disagree with Katya. Painful even sometimes.
yeah, honestly. It's painful. But the one thing, there's a couple things I don't like about this. One is that it's powered by Solana, obviously. I don't like that, because Solana, it's sketchy, bro. Like Solana just goes offline randomly. So I definitely think that they're gonna need to expand. I don't think it's gonna be only Solana. It'll be Solana and
No,
Ethereum.
definitely not.
There's
I mean,
no way.
they said so, yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's that. And then secondly, I'm literally like, I'm gonna, for future episodes, I'm gonna like make a little tinfoil hat for myself so I can put it on when it's tinfoil hat time.
Awesome.
But like, I don't know how to say this. Like, stablecoin regulation, I'm kind of like weary of, because it's dangerously close to CBDCs, and it's like crypto payments is cool and stablecoins are cool. It's just, stablecoins are easier to like shut down and control and be like, hey, like your wallet, you're not allowed to use these stablecoins, or like, so it gets tricky. But like the rails, like the fact that we're able to use stablecoins on Cash App, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I want to see more options though, because USDC in general is like a pretty centralized stablecoin. I want to see like Cash App with DAI and Cash App with USDT and Cash App with USDC and like a bunch of options.
Yeah. What's
There was
go ahead.
I just wanted to add that there was another piece of news about JP Morgan and Alibaba doing like a payments
yeah, I
thing.
saw something about that. Yes.
Yeah, but I didn't really look into it. But what was interesting about that is that they referred to their payment currency as tokenized fiat, which in their announcement is not the same as a stablecoin. So not the same as a stablecoin, not a CBDC, but tokenized fiat, a third thing.
Yes.
So look
Not
out
a
for
CBDC.
that. No, yeah. So look out for that, where like it's not a stablecoin, it's tokenized fiat. It's
Very, very creative, guys.
Tokenize everything. Both of you like talking kind of like knock this loose in my brain is crypto is dead and blockchain remains. And and that's just kind of how I'm like starting to feel more and more. Like when I first got into this space, I worked in blockchain, and then I worked in crypto, and then all of a sudden I worked in Web3. And then I feel like Web3 kind of died and I went back to working in crypto. But now, as we're kind of like abstracting all of this stuff and like taking care of everything on the back end, it's like, no, we're back to working at blockchain, baby. Like the core of like what made this cool and interesting and good is what we are continuing to work on, not meme coins.
And
go ahead.
I feel vindicated for all the time where people were being made fun of for being in it for the tech.
Yeah.
It was for the tech.
It was for the tech
The
all
whole
along.
time.
The whole
All
time.
along.
I haven't said the word Web3 in a while, and that also
No,
gets me
I haven't
really
thought
excited.
about it in a
Threw up a
while.
little bit in your mouth.
I mean, I think people have like, oh yeah, we tried this and it didn't really work. So let's move back into crypto and blockchain of it all.
Hell
You
yeah,
know,
tech
like,
enjoyers stay winning.
we should do like a blog piece or something on all the words that we've tried to target with SEO for the past 10 years, which
That would be
went
fun.
nowhere.
That would be a fun piece.
That would be really fun. You know what else
On-chain is actually a good one. On-chain, I think, is
On-chain.
going to go far. That one goes hard.
Famous last words.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But speaking of on-chain, let's talk about on-chain betting about nonsense. And the latest drama, like a middle school with Polymarket and the government shutdown ending. And this is very similar, I think, to the Zelensky suit incident.
Yeah.
Where there was, a prediction market where a bunch of liquidity is put behind, a yes or a no. And then it comes to a quote unquote resolution, but there's like weird gray areas and people are losing a lot of money and losing their minds. So kind of talk to me about this, guys. I feel like this is emblematic of the problems with some of these prediction markets where there is no cut and dried answer for these weird things. Prediction market for a football game, I at least know, one team is going to eventually win. And but like whether or not something is classified as a suit, or if this ended at the correct time, it gets super muddy and super kind of gross. And for me, it's really underlines the problem with a lot of this kind of like willy-nilly prediction market betting. But talk me off my ledge, one of you.
So I just want to add that this time it was more a problem of people not reading the rules.
Yeah.
Because with the Zelensky suit, I think, they just said suit. So it was on them. So like this is about, somebody was saying it's not about not just about market behavior, but market structuring, the rules around whatever. So with the suit, it was a genuine problem because they didn't say it has to be a two-piece with a tie and a shirt, kind of like, so then it would have been clear in the end that what he wore was not a suit, by the way.
Still looks like a suit to me, but
no, but I mean, if they said that, right? Like, but if they said it just has to be a button-up jacket and slacks, and that's it, so like, this case, the problem was that Trump signed the order or whatever on November 12th, and so that's when people thought, okay, the government shutdown is over, November 12th. And November 12th, the market was moving, the prediction market was moving, but the rules said the government shutdown will be over when the government will update this specific site where it says there's a government closure. And they didn't update it until the 13th.
Right.
And so...
because ostensibly that webmaster was not working.
Maybe, yeah. But, but the rules were there. And what I think was more than generous in this case by Polymarket, like they faced a lot of backlash over the suit thing. And I'm sure other things that weren't on our radar. But in this case, I think it was more than generous when they started seeing on the 12th, the movement. They put a big blue banner that said, read the rules. And still, people piled into the position, free money because it was already known, which in the end it wasn't, because it wasn't on November 12th, but it was on November 13th. And so I think it was a problem of like not reading. And I agree with people who said, if you're putting money into something, you have 2 minutes to read the rules.
I just hear
and understand.
I hear Duke Nukem in my head saying, that's a whole lot of words. Too bad I'm not reading any of them.
Yeah, you're not reading all that, but too bad, or I'm happy for you, right? But like, the thing is though, this is getting big because in the beginning of November, like on the 3rd or 4th, the Wall Street Journal wrote about Polymarket's prediction for the government shutdown. Like, come on. And they were actually talking seriously about that Polymarket is predicting for it to be the longest on record, which it turned out to be, which was true. But like the Wall Street Journal's attention turned to Polymarket and its predictions. So I think this one is just basically on the users, like user error, like read 100%. The rules.
Skill
So
issue.
I think, yeah. And I think Polymarket maybe learned their lesson with the suit. I hope so, that going forward, like things like this will be very clearly spelled out, like when it's a yes or when it's a no, when there's any ambiguity. But yeah, but this time it wasn't on them.
Do you guys think, like 10 years from now, what will be more successful, Polymarket or AAVE?
AAVE.
Probably, right? AAVE is
Yeah.
like actually solid, foundational, like grandmas can use it.
I don't know whether Polymarket, whether it will be Polymarket, but I think betting markets are always like stupid shit that people will pile into, you know, to earn free money is always going to be more successful. Sadly, I am a pessimist on humanity.
I mean,
to no one's surprise.
to add on to that point, I was gonna say, like, I think that this whole ordeal, like, of just like people not reading and then getting upset about it, like, this is kind of indicative in my eyes of like the Solana trenches and meme coin trenches dying because all of 2023 and last year and like into like the beginning of this year even meme coins were like people were trading them all the time, and from like the beginning of this year until now, like liquidity has just been dropping off of like meme coins and that whole side of crypto. And if these guys aren't reading the rules, it's probably the same people because like shitcoiners don't know how to read. So, so
this is the quote of the podcast. Put that on a throw pillow.
Wonders don't know how to read.
Yeah. So I mean, it's probably like a big chunk of those people who were like trading shit coins for the past 2 years, and now they're like trying to trade the prediction markets. But honestly, this is like why I don't like prediction markets, because they're so easily gamed, and even if not gamed, like they're easy to misunderstand. So
yeah. But to your question, I think prediction markets will eventually go away, if I'm honest. I think that
really? Like just go away?
Because I think like they will be legislated, because right now they're operating in like a gray legislation area, right?
you gotta make a poly market for it.
Yeah, maybe. But I think that anywhere that has in-person legalized gambling is looking for anything to shut down these online sports books. And these online sports books are looking to do anything they can to shut down the poly markets or the Kalshis of the world, because they're taking away from their bottom line. So I think you've got, you know, the OG heavies of like the Las Vegas Sands and like, you know, so anywhere that has legalized gambling, which has a lot of money and a lot of power.
Yeah.
And these sports books like the DraftKings want to see nothing better than Polymarket crash and burn and not be available to US citizens, or Kalshi ripped out of Robinhood, because that's their bread and butter.
True.
So I think that
okay, so you're saying not betting will go away, but just these like on-chain platforms for betting
I think these on-chain
destroyed.
Will be destroyed. I would like to see the betting go away. I liked it better when Vegas was the only place you could bet, and you're like, ooh yeah, go to Vegas. This is great. Like it's less cool now because you're like, oh well, I can just do this wherever.
There's people betting on the bus.
I know,
it's not the same.
It's not the same. Like I need the showgirls. I need the mafia.
The cocktails, the tables.
Yeah,
that's a whole thing.
The Casino Royale thing. Like, what is it even? Yeah,
it's lost the allure, and I think that's a problem. But I do think it's going to be interesting to watch all of these different problems that all of these start to run into, and I'm intrigued for when Kalshi's integration with Robinhood hits a problem like this. I think it's going to be a PR nightmare, just because they are putting up billions of dollars on that, and I think its proximity to investing is also going to be part of what's something that like people really pull on in a very bad way.
Yeah, I could totally see that. It's going to be very telling.
Yeah, so we'll just have to keep an eye on it week over week, starting next week, because this brings us to the end of this week. Thank you, dear listener, for listening. Make sure you leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, and we'll see you in the next week. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.